This is Theoretical Thrills, the podcast where three hosts pitch original theoretical rides and attractions based on things they don't own. A special guest judge awards bronze, silver, or gold based on three separate categories: most creative, most practical, and guest's favorite. With bragging rights on the line, the hosts will try to pick each other's ideas apart through gentle ribbing. So sit back, relax, and stand clear of the moving doors as we present Theoretical Thrills.
Theoretical Thrills, the theory of the thrill.
Oh boy!
In 3, 2, fun!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Theoretical Thrills. I'm your host, Oliver.
I'm Brad.
And I'm Spencer.
And we're joined for a very special episode by Bradley Pierce for our Jumanji episode. That's right, the movie came out in 1995 and was such an impactful film. And we're so excited to have you here with us to be judging this week's Jumanji show. So, Bradley, how are you? How are things going?
Well, pleasure to be here. Love the idea of this, so I'm excited. Things are going okay. I mean, it's COVID times, so everything's kind of a dumpster fire, but making the best of it.
Excellent, and that's all we can ask for. We started a podcast thanks to that dumpster fire, so here we are right now. Now, let's talk about Jumanji. This is one of the most impactful films to anyone who grew up in the 90s, but moreover, just a classic film. What was it like getting to be a part of that world? What is it like to look back on that as that sort of experience?
Oh, it's amazing. It's one of those things that I didn't realize how much of a lasting effect it would have at the time. But it's allowed me to do all kinds of amazing things and meet all kinds of amazing people. Not just the experience of the actual production, but since then, it's opened all kinds of amazing doors for me. And it's just been fantastic. I've got a few, everybody has those moments in their childhood or in their life that they will always look back on fondly. Mine happens to be looked back on fondly by a lot of people instead of just me. So it's definitely an honor to be part of that.
Well, that's awesome. Like that's such an amazing outlook, especially, and you played Peter in the movie, and that's such an impactful role because you get most of the people that were watching the movie were that age and they saw themselves in that character. So we have that. Now let's talk about theme parks, because that's what this show's about. What is your relationship with theme parks? What might be your favorite ride?
Well, my relationship with theme parks is, I think, deeper than a lot of people's. I have been a season pass or annual pass holder to all of the local theme parks at one point or another. So I was a pass holder at Magic Mountain for almost 10 years. I was a pass holder at Disney for almost 20. I was a pass holder at Knott's for 2 years. So, I mean, I have run the gambit as far as those amusement parks go. I hold the record for most consecutive rides of the Jurassic Park ride in one day.
Wow.
58 rides. I broke that record because I knew all of the ops people. And the previous record was, I think, 39 or 40. And it was somebody who just stayed in the boat the whole time.
Yeah.
I got out.
I'm trying to think of how you can do that faster.
Get out at unload, run to the loading section, get in to an open seat that was held for you, go on again, and because it saves you 2 minutes every time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I have that. I've worked at theme parks. I worked at Universal Studios as a monster from 2006 to 2013, every Halloween.
Nice.
Also, the Queen Mary, I've done a few years there, and I did a year at Knott's. So I've worked theme parks, I have attended theme parks, and in general, love amusement park rides.
Wow,
My
so
favorite...
you're a qualified judge of both.
I'm ready. You didn't even know what you were getting into.
No,
but
that's it. We bought a ticket and we went there.
Yeah, it's an e-ticket too, so we'll be just fine.
Exactly. Oh, an e-ticket reference in the first 5 minutes. Yes, this is going to be fun.
All right. So, favorite ride was your last question.
Yes.
my favorite ride and the one that speaks to me most is probably Haunted Mansion. It's not necessarily the most exciting or, my favorite ride experience, but because it's got so much nostalgia for me and because it is just a beautifully put together experience, that's probably my favorite attraction or ride that I've.
Wow. So we got to keep that in mind because this week we're going to be pitching to you in this order. First, we got Brad, followed by me, and then Spencer. Now, here's how this is going to work. You're going to be judging on 3 categories, and those 3 categories are, Spencer?
The 3 categories are creativity, which is anything that feels like it's a creative idea, something that maybe is unique to theme parks or Jumanji. Practicality, which is something that feels like it fits in a theme park pre-COVID, of course, or once the return from COVID happens. And guest favorite, which Bradley, those are literally whatever tickles your funny bone, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you laugh, makes you cry, makes you go, huh? Whatever it is to you, those are your favorites.
Okay.
And here's what's on the line. You see, at the end of this season, all the points are going to be tabulated together, and the loser will have to suffer a punishment. Last season's loser was Spencer, and he had to drive all the way down to Disneyland, touch the first gate, and then drive home.
Act like it's a punishment.
Yeah, it was a heck of a punishment, and he couldn't even stay to go to downtown Disney.
And you had him do it at 3:00 in the afternoon or something, right? So he's in rush hour both ways.
It was a fun thing to watch.
It was a lunch rush.
Gotcha.
But this season, we are playing for a uniquely horrendous type of thing, which is you're going to have to listen to, from dusk till dawn, the electrical light parade on repeat is what's going to happen to the person who's going to lose. Now, my assumption is that person will be driven mad by hour 3, but we'll see how it goes.
That's water torture for sure. That's absolutely madness.
It's going to be a fun test for Spencer.
Yeah, it'll be great.
We don't know. We don't know.
I think we do.
I don't think we do.
In mind, I think we should jump right into it. So, Brad, are you ready?
Oh,
yes.
I'm always ready.
Oh,
Bradley, are you ready?
I am. Yes. Sorry.
Oh.
Fantastic.
Bradley.
Take it away.
Well, it's time for my 3 pitches. Bradley, first off, wonderful name. Wonderful name.
Oh, boy.
Great
Good
name.
one.
I know
Yeah.
it's a nice, strong name. So I get you already there. Now, I've got 3 attractions for you. My first attraction is one that's going to Jumanji, big part of my childhood. Let's see, 95, so I was 9 when it came out. Great movie. And I loved it to the point that even the newer ones I've also enjoyed because they pay respect to it while adding their own little twist of things. It's still never going to beat the classic. I mean, let's be honest.
There's no ride. He's just going to talk about the movie.
But my first ride is
Jumanji.
called Race to the Temple. I'm going to mix aspects of Jumanji, the original, with some of the aspects of the newer movies, sort of the what happened to Alan Parrish when he went into the board game. So you're going to start off. It's the whole setting of my area is the Parrish house is going to be the queue line going through the house. You'll get sucked in to the Jumanji game. And what this is, you'll sort of go through a portal type deal into the Jumanji game. This is all design looking thing to get you onto the raft. You are boarding a river raft ride in the jungle. So you'll go through this portal into the game. It'll be an entrance, a sort of transition entrance similar to like they do at the new Star Wars ride, or if you want to go classic Haunted Mansion, where they have you in that room.
2-stage.
And it sort of empties out. Yes. So it's a 2-stage queue. There's that sort of intermediate show type deal. And then that'll put you into the jungle where you will board a river raft. So it's going to be a river raft ride through the jungles of Jumanji. The key thing here is you're going to, in the movie, the newer movie, the very first one, they had to take this gem back to this temple. So we're going to take a little bit of an aspect of that. We're going to take a river rapids through to get to this temple. Now, once you get to the temple, you're going to enter into the temple, and we're going to use a mechanic that Infinity Falls from SeaWorld uses, which is essentially a water elevator. It's an elevator for the raft. So what it's going to do is your raft docks, and it'll raise you all the way up to the temple top. At the temple top, you'll be able to see around the area, around the park and everything. We'll see the gem at the top. You'll hear Jumanji, and then the raft will tip, and you'll go weaving around like a roller coaster down the temple as you race to get out of the jungle, out of Jumanji, and you're sucked back out of the board game, essentially. So it's a water rapid ride, a river rapid ride through the jungles of Jumanji, and then that brings you back to the parish house. So that is my first attraction. Any questions on that? I know my wording is everywhere.
It's everywhere and nowhere.
I have none. It's
I
a
don't
solid
either.
pitch. It's a river ride with a water elevator. It's definitely going to be one that you're going to have to worry about sound bleed, but it's solid.
There's going to be sound bleed problems everywhere.
Yeah.
And it sounds definitely like you'd have some issues in the queue with regards to separating the visual of the parish house from the visual of what I'm assuming is going to be a very large temple.
Yeah, it would have to be you essentially go into a room that's the parish house that the doors would be closed to cut off the queue, like the line. So we have a certain amount of people. You have this transition scene like you would at Haunted Mansion or with the Star Wars ride or anything like that. And then the doors on the opposite side would open up. Or like Tower of Terror also does it. Guardians of the Galaxy does it.
So it's a very Disney thing where you've got the pre-show.
Yeah. So this would be a very pre-show thing. I would essentially quite a few of my. It would have to be that. So with my second ride, which if you're ready, I will present my second attraction. Now my second attraction is Bradley. You said that you were a fan of Haunted Mansion, which Haunted Mansion is a very well known, very standard for a dark ride. Which is great because I am also going to create a dark ride. However, I'm going to use some of the newer technology that has come out, and that is we're going to have a trackless dark ride. It allows for more movement, more control. We can have multiple pods sort of doing things. What this is going to be, the entrance is going to be at the backyard of the parish house. Yes, my ride, my design of the park is going to try and make you feel like you're at some point always going around the parish house or within the parish house, with the rides sort of having ways to push out of it. So our load-in areas all around the parish house, and then the rides, the majority of the ride track will be outside of that boundaries, if that makes any sense. So what it's going to be is you're going to be chased by the hunter. So you're going to be chased.
Whose name?
Reginald.
Oh, swinging a miss, but go on.
The hunter. I guess I could have
Van
looked
Pelt?
up his name.
Go
Van
on.
Pelt. That's what I
Van
said.
Pelt is what
Reginald
you're
Van
going
Pelt.
I feel like it's better to say the hunter than Reginald, because if you just said Reginald, I feel like you'd have to explain who Reginald is.
You're chased around by an 1880s British man
Yes.
Well-
who has nothing to do with the plot.
Well, there's a standing fan theory that might fit into this. That the hunter is the embodiment of whatever the hunted fears.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the hunter was his father, and his old point of view, and that's why Van Pelt was his father. So whoever the hunter is could be different in your ride. It could still be in canon.
So see the hunter.
Giving you credit for Reginald is what I'm doing here.
Thank you. Is Reginald the hunter. So you're being chased by the hunter. The big thing is you're going to sort of go through the beginning parts of the town where we might see some of the animals that have been set loose as our ride vehicle is going through the town, for you to ultimately end up in the mall being chased. So through the sort of the store. And this would allow us to be able to have multiple cars sort of weaving in and out of the maybe the clothing aisle or the toys aisle and stuff like that, as random things seem to explode or stage explode, as if the hunter is firing at you. So you'll be dodging behind corners and stuff like that to eventually escape back to the parish house, where we will see we'll enter sort of in through the basement. We'll get down into the basement. We'll see these dice coming down the the stairways, and then we'll hear Jumanji, smoke effect, and then you're back into the exit, the loadout.
Okay, solid second ride. It's nice that you're just able to take a nice large paintbrush and do the whole plot in one ride.
It's not the whole plot.
I think the idea that there would be different ride experiences depending on which car you're in and where you get weaved to when you're being chased could be really interesting too.
Yeah, I was very excited about it. It was based off rides that I've never actually ridden. The style of rides like that Rise of the Resistance. Anybody read that one?
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't.
Not
I've
yet.
been to the new Star
It's amazing.
Galaxy's Edge once. I went once on a preview, and it was before Rise was
Before
open.
they finished it.
And then Rise
It took
opened,
them a minute.
and I was
Yeah.
like, you know what? I'm going to wait until the crowd dies down a little bit,
And then the world ended.
and then somebody lit the dumpster on fire, and here we are.
Yeah.
But it's fun anyway.
All right, so those are our first two rides. Now, Brad, you got one
I got one more
for us?
attraction, and this is
All right.
probably my boldest attraction.
We love bold here on this show.
I'm gonna be honest. The
Boldness
first
is
two,
often rewarded.
the first two are based around ideas that already exist. The third one's taking an idea that exists and seeing if we can go crazy with it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, my attraction is none other than the parish house itself. Intriguing, I know. The parish house. So what I mean by this is I'm going to have the parish house itself is going to be an interactive exhibit. Throughout the entire parish house, whether you're in the queue, looking off into other side rooms, maybe around the backyard, there is going to be interactive things that you can mess with using we're going to be using a phone app and QR codes to essentially allow you to play the game of Jumanji. Now, what'll happen is you'll go to different areas. You can use a QR code, go ahead and roll the dice on your app, and then something might happen. What this means is that I want to see the house gradually change throughout the hour, so that vines might start growing. And with each person that plays, they might grow a little bit more, a little bit more, or we might see a little bit of dripping of water. And then it might be as more and more people play, it becomes a rainfall of water in one room. So you can sort of just see into this room and there's just rain falling. I want the house to slowly be taken over by Jumanji. And then what makes this fun and reusable and doable and stuff like that is every hour, you'll hear Jumanji shouted throughout the house, and everything will reset back to how it was pre-Jumanji craziness. So I wanted a way so that you could feel like the house is slowly being taken over by Jumanji, and then it's just reset. I figured about an hour because the time frame would depend on how many of these interactivity things you could have in it, but I figured an hour is a good amount so that if you're in the queue, you get the chance to see it, the start of it, see it progressing, and you get to see the end within your time being in this section of the park. It happens often enough that whether so that way, if you're on a ride and you happen to miss it, you'll definitely be able to see it the next time you come back from your ride. So that is my 3 pitches.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Thank you.
I think the biggest issue with the third pitch, the most recent one, is going to be throughput, because you're going to have people that are just going to want to sit there and watch the show over and over and over. So you're going to have to figure out how and when you would maybe clear the space, and how to just keep flow going through it.
People with spray bottles and tasers.
Oh boy.
All right,
Move along.
I'm in.
Move along. No.
It's a bad. No.
You do it once and you move along.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways to do it. You could have it so that you can only activate each thing one time per phone user or whatever.
Yeah, that would
make
that would be a good fix to it. It's just limit how often you can.
Or you could do what
activate.
Barnum did with the Great American Museum and just put to the egress, assuming people don't know what egress means. And when they go out the door, it closes behind them.
Yeah. Because everybody wants to see an egress.
Or I could put to the egrets and have birds on the other side of the door.
Okay, moving on to my pitches.
Well, Jumanji Willikers.
Oh boy.
Oh dear, Spencer.
It's not
Had
even
to get it in
good.
there.
Yeah.
It was a choice. Okay.
You're
No,
better than that.
we were here as
aren't
well.
you?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. All right.
Okay, let's jump into my pitches, shall we?
Yeah.
Yes,
So these
let's.
are my pitches for Jumanji, and while I appreciate Brad's pitches, they were great, borderline fantastic. I'm going to go in a slightly different direction. Now, our rides are going to sound a little similar off the top, but I want to be clear that
You want to be
this
clever?
first ride,
Clever and clear.
clever and clear, that this ride is a different version of this. Now, what I would like to do is use an optical illusion for our queue. And basically what will happen is people will line up at the parish house. Going through the parish house will be a winding queue as they go up towards the attic. This house will be mostly covered up but fully intact. The idea being that this house has been abandoned and the shepherd kids are moving in. When you get up to the attic, you'll then approach a giant board. The board itself will be in the center of the area, and you will roll the dice, and through the attic wall will separate to lead you to your ride car. The ride cars are going to be shaped like the totems on the actual board from Jumanji. This ride will then take you through what is seemingly the same exact building that the ride queue just went through, but it's actually a secondary show building that's behind it. This house has been affected by the Jumanji game itself. So as this car winds and weaves its way through, almost to the level of the thrill you would have off of a quick roller coaster, you'll be winding through the parish house as the house comes alive, seemingly not realizing that you're in a separate building. Basically, we're going to make sure that you're going down the same exact path. So you'll see the monkeys in the kitchen. You'll see all the different parts that are coming through. You'll have the bats coming through, and it'll take you all through it into the library where you will have them help blow through the doors. We'll have it continue to play through as you get to the final climactic moment, which will be a water-filled main hallway. The water-filled main hallway will then take you through the center aisle as Robin Williams' character reaches down below and tries to grab hold and bring you up there. We'll have different animatronic characters as they go through. But you'll just narrowly miss the crocodile before entering the black path and then getting out in the affected house. So you're being dumped out into the ruined side of the house. As you leave through the exit, you'll see the ride behind you, but you'll see, moreover, the affected house itself. So it's the idea that you get to walk the path and then you end up going through the whole adventure. So that is my first ride.
So,
Yes, Brad.
So what you're saying, let me get this straight. First off, someone's going to roll dice at the beginning.
Yes.
Or everybody's going to roll dice.
One person.
Does it matter what they roll?
No.
Because it'd be like awkward snake eyes.
We can load the dice with magnets. That's
But
part of the whole
more
thing.
importantly, why are you having them exit through the ruined house? You've had them go through the entire movie.
Fair. It would be sucked
And
back
then
into the board game.
cut off the ending of the movie.
Yeah. The goal would be to get them to the end of it. I now see the point and the difficulty with it, though.
There's no happy ending to your ride.
No, as usual.
I think that having them
Eh?
exit through the damaged house is problematic.
Okay, that's
But
fair.
I understand where you're going conceptually with it. I think ending with a Jumanji type thing and everything goes back and suddenly the house is back to normal would be a stronger finish. I like the totems. That's cool. I like the repeat factor. You're going through the walk-in and then all of a sudden there's you're going through the same thing. Almost like the Millennium Falcon experience at the thing where everybody feels like they're getting onto the same Falcon in the same cockpit, but
But it's just
because of the way
slightly
it's
off
set
to the
up.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and that's brilliant. It also works for your, the attic space could be the same as that Millennium Falcon chess room.
It's literally just turning you around without you realizing it.
Yeah, I dig that. There's some good concepts there.
Yeah, I just think you need to fix that ending.
I'm just gonna have the track end and they'll shoot out into the courtyard.
This
It'll
is
be
what
great.
happens in Jumanji if they hadn't succeeded in beating Jumanji.
If you don't finish the game, this is
Look at
what
the
happens.
ruins. Well, this is terrible.
Well, speaking of a little darker tone, a lot of people, when they assume Jumanji, they think of the movies. Now, I, being a kid who grew up in the 90s, learned about a little network called UPN. And on UPN was a certain cartoon. And in my opinion, a show that runs for multiple years should also be addressed with a dark ride. In my version of the Jumanji dark ride, this will be themed after the cartoon verse of Jumanji. Set with a little bit of a darker tone, you're swept into the jungle itself, outrunning panthers, waterfalls, and scary doom pits. This dark ride will have the same feel and tone to Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin, but applied with the animation style and feel of the Jumanji universe. So this version of the Jumanji dark ride will have you spinning through the jungle, narrowly missing terrible feats of death, and then being spit out back into the lobby out of the game. So that is my version of the dark ride of Jumanji. Yes, Brad, you seem like you're about to explode.
No, I mean,
it's okay to be jealous. It's okay to be jealous.
It's more right. We did say Jumanji, and it feels like you just found the loophole in Jumanji to add the TV show.
That is correct.
But then you're very vague on this TV show.
Oh, absolutely. As was the TV show. If you watched it as far as like setting up rules or them outrunning Van Pelt or the sort of adventures that they go on, it's a little bit more tonally set to, well, it's the same people that made the Men in Black cartoons. So they really didn't have a through line.
It had a similar feel to a lot of what Klasky Chupo did. Like, it's Wild Thornberrys-esque in a lot of ways. It's got that same kind of
amorphic.
Each episode is clearly completely disconnected from the rest of the universe, other than by title.
Right.
But
disconnected from the universe.
Yeah, I heard that too.
People have accused me of that for years.
Yeah, so not canon. No, that's cool.
Well, it is. It was signed off on by all of the people who needed to sign off on it.
Dang it.
So,
all right, so canon, but disconnected.
Universe, but yeah.
And finally, we come to my third attraction. Now, my third attraction, while I understand Jumanji has now taken on a life of its own to live inside of a new version of the franchise, I think that's super great. However, I think instead of focusing on that version and finding a way to pay tribute to it at the same time, I need a ride area or something that I could go to that would be less high energy, something that a lot of people can enjoy at the same time. And what I think of is a good old-fashioned arcade. Except the way that we're going to be building this arcade is we're going to be taking a different spin on it. Now, in the newer Jumanji universe, a lot of it's being sucked into a video game. The tone and feel of the different things that happen in it are set to the classical video games that you grew up with. Now, what we're going to do is take that same exact idea, but turn this arcade into sort of an obstacle course type thing. You can have build-outs of these different games, sort of like the Innovations setup that they had, where they were like, it would be a arcade game plus, like you could kick a ball into the wall and the ball would continue. So we would have a bunch of different games that are AR laid on games that would be jungle themed that are set around the new movies. So each character from the new movies would have their own different game. You'd have the Rock's character being a game of smoldering to like block off enemies. You could have a character that runs really fast. You could have one that is allergic to cake. It's up to you, but the different rides that we would have, they would be arcade games, basically. So we'd have this fun, interactive arcade that people could go to at a premium to play these games that allows us to bring in some extra money into the park that allows for a unique experience that's a plus. Now, you know it's not going to be me unless I'm going to add a pay-for option, and I think that's where I think I want it to be in the
or a death
Jumanji
trap
arcade. Yes, look, you're either going to pay for it or you're going to pay for it in the end. So it's one of the two with me. But that's my idea.
Themed Midway is what I'm hearing.
Yes, that's practically what it is.
But what's this about an obstacle course?
Each ride feels like a different thing that you would be doing. So the game itself, like each miniature arcade game, feels sort of like something you would encounter in an obstacle course. It's like a simple task-based game.
What?
Escapism is a feel here.
It's a game, but the game is like,
So-
you're climbing the ropes, but you're climbing the ropes with the controller or the buttons.
Or it's a never-ending wall that you keep climbing to get up to the first thing first, and then it ends, like the arcade game version of Rock Climbs. Or another one's a rope swing thing, where you're swinging from platform to platform.
This doesn't sound like an arcade.
No,
It's like a VR arcade.
That's why it's an AR arcade. You're interactive with these different attractions.
It's like Disney Quest if Disney Quest was themed to Jumanji.
Pretty much.
And still open.
I think there's a lot of possibility in augmented reality.
I think
I think that's
Like the California Science Center is great, but arguably the most fun you could have in that entire building is up on the third floor at the arcade game where you can kick the ball and you do those different things. It's the idea of adding. You are the objects that are playing the game, but there's still an arcade game based idea.
The bike is the most terrifying.
I'm going to
man.
call you out on that. I think the most exciting thing is that touch tank where you can touch all the different fish and stuff. And
Yeah, it's gone, bud.
What about the space shuttle? That's there. That whole
That
exhibit.
space shuttle is still there, yeah.
that's cool. Yeah.
But the
Yeah,
idea
they're
is
never
that we
moving
would have
that,
an AR midway themed around the newer Jumanji universe.
I think an AR Midway makes better sense describing it like that rather than an AR arcade.
Oh no, I'm aware.
Because when I think arcade, I think like an arcade cabinet,
Like Pac-Man.
like an actual video game with controls.
6 buttons and a joystick kind of vibe.
Yeah. Or even if it's just a fancied up version of a PlayStation or Xbox, like that would be more arcade because it's.
The whole thing is centered around a video
Whereas
game.
yours
It's the idea that you're stepping
yours
into
is
the
more
game.
much more interactive,
It's almost like it's an
I think-
attraction.
like a Midway.
I think something you're going to run into, though, as a potential issue is disability access. You have to make sure that everything has functionality. For example, the rope climbing or rock climbing thing. How would someone in a wheelchair participate? Or would it be something?
I have an
that-
answer to that. It's a fix,
Okay.
but it's definitely an answer. It's the idea of having a split belt that you can unlock and have it come across so they can climb this way while still in the chair and still have that availability to have accessibility. That the idea of making them each one accessible is not difficult for me. That's something that I enjoy doing. But I hear what you're saying on the idea of like having to design those little arcade games around a commonality that is something that can be enjoyed by everyone.
Yeah, it's
Low impact options.
It's a great concept, but I feel like there would be a lot of obstacles on that one.
I think
Mhm.
I think the other the biggest thing you're overlooking is Disney Quest no longer exists, right? Do you know
Right,
why
so
it no
we're-
longer
we're in a
exists?
prime option now
You know why it no longer exists?
because people suck.
Because technology outgrew it and they couldn't keep up with the times. So all it takes is a year, 2 years, and your park is behind in technology. So you have to constantly be updating it, as opposed to your other two.
You mean out of the thing that has a constant new episode, like they have constant new movies coming out of that same thing that you could easily update it with?
But I'm
The
saying
technology-wise.
update the technology, not the theme. You could
Not the
same
interface and the theme, the technology
The
itself.
technology itself would need to be constantly updated. So the upkeep on that is just you're constantly have to reinvest into this entire project every single year or 2 years.
That's true.
As opposed to your other two attractions, which, yeah, you have maintenance upkeep, but as long as you built them okay, then
But it's also the only idea that is theoretically bringing in money directly, as opposed to strictly through whatever ticket
Through
sales.
ticket sales.
you would have been. So the improvements in technology could be self-funded.
as long as you don't overdo it.
Me? Overdo it? It doesn't
I rest
sound
my
right.
case. I rest my case.
I'm wearing a Rugrats
All
Hanukkah episode shirt. Like I get it. It happens.
I knew it was Rugrats, but I didn't know it was the Hanukkah
Oh no,
episode.
this is a shout out to Roosevelt's for their Maca Baby shirt. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. All right.
Absolutely
I love the
love it.
Rocco shirt.
Yeah, the Rocco shirt's also pretty good.
All right. Anything else?
So those are my 3 rides. Bradley, do you have any other questions?
This is more of a general question.
What were you thinking?
When I'm giving opinions and judging for points, are we is that vote based on specific attractions or based on your idea of a themic area? Because it seems like, at least for you two, and I'm assuming Spencer as well, have sort of laid out an area. Like, this is Jumanji Land. This is multiple attractions within one area.
You're awarding the points to the attractions themselves.
Okay.
Theming and stuff like that, like decoration and that sort of things, are part of the land, but unless it's specific to the ride itself or stated otherwise, you're giving the awards to the attractions. So we're each pitching you 3 attractions.
Okay. Because just between these two, there's a little bit more cohesiveness, I feel, in Brad's concepts versus yours, Oliver, right now. Mm-hmm. So if it were on a land, I think he would get...
guest favorite. If you want to do it based on a land for guest favorite, you go ahead and do it based on a land. I'm not going to stop you.
That is a very fair point, Bradley. And I'll keep that in mind in the future.
All right.
Touche. Spencer.
Well, if we're talking about cohesive, let's get less cohesive here.
You want to talk about something that's a loose bale of ideas. Spencer, go ahead.
So my first pitch is called Jumanji: A Jungle Adventure. I'm
already out.
I'm gonna really make it exciting. It's a dark ride roller coaster hybrid, similar to Indiana Jones France and Revenge of the Mummy, or Indiana Jones Disneyland meets Rock and Roller Coaster, but the cars swing back and forth along the track a little bit.
I'm sorry, you mean Euro Disney's Indiana Jones, right?
Yes, the one that's in France.
Copy. Continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The color palette is earth tones, green, brown, dark yellow, gray, maple, like jungle vibes. Track is green and looks like vines. Rope bridges, hanging props are made to look like jungle vines. So here's the ride. Part 1, a dark ride tour through scenes from the original Jumanji, but the track is laid out like a board game. So you're shuffling around the board and encountering different scenes from the movie. Part 2, the guests arrive at a movie screen that shows the scene in Welcome to the Jungle, where Spencer, my name, but the character, gets sucked into the video game, and the screen then opens, kind of like how Great Movie Ride used to do it, sucking guests in and thrusting them forward full throttle, a la Revenge of the Mummy. Your souls belong to me, hovering and shifting as you go through. Part 3, you travel quickly through the jungle scenes of the new movie, mixed with some projections and animatronics as you glide in a darkened indoor coaster, a little bit brighter than Revenge of the Mummy, but a bit darker than the indie ride at Disneyland. Part 4, whirlwind effects with gray water-based smoke, car spin like tilt-a-whirl with some 3D projections, and you return back to the dark ride track. Part 5, the ride finishes up with a dip back into the original Jumanji franchise with a couple scenes from the original Jumanji before hearing, well, a little rain never hurt anybody, before the cars return to the station through an open door effect. Oh, that's where all the Great Movie Ride is. That's the first ride. That's the first attraction.
Hold on. This is a roller coaster.
It's a dark ride roller coaster hybrid. So the first part is dark ride, and then you get roller coaster, and then you end with dark.
How
ride.
are you transitioning between these things?
There's like in Great Movie Ride, how there's you go up to the track and there's a screen, and then the screen opens and you go through it.
Yes, essentially, and he's run away.
I'm not talking about how you transition scenes. I'm asking, how do you transition from a dark ride track?
There you go.
To a roller coaster track. To a spinning car.
No, okay. Like Revenge of the Mummy, the same track for the dark ride portion of it, and then it goes into the roller coaster. Yeah, but it's like a slow part at the beginning. It's a dark ride at the beginning. That's what I mean by that. It's like if Revenge of the Mummy had a Jumanji theme, that's pretty much what we're going with here. But I just have this idea
just
of
roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster.
It's an indoor roller coaster.
Yes.
Don't call it a dark ride.
But there is a dark ride element.
Bradley is sitting there going I have so many.
I have things to say.
There's a dark ride element, but the big thing is I have this. It's like the discos, those rides where they go up and down like this on the track and they kind of shift a little bit. So when you get to the cars themselves, the ride cars kind of move a little back. They slide a little bit, not crazy, but it's
on
like
a roller coaster?
What
Like
ride are you talking about, bud?
yeah. You know, like there's like swinging safaris, another one where the cars, it's like bucket
I'm
seats,
gonna
like bucket
pa- I'm gonna
seats.
pa-
So this
I'm
is
gonna
a
pause
hanging
you.
roller coaster.
Spencer,
Yeah,
I'm gonna-
you're like in bucket seats.
Bradley, do you have any questions?
I think I know where he's going with this hybrid concept. I don't know
Mind
if it's-
telling us?
I don't know if the phrasing is right, but basically you're using a roller coaster track the entire time. You're using it with onboard vehicle driven, not gravity driven, for most of the track.
Mhm.
And then you go into a traditional roller coaster. It sounds almost like you're thinking of using like linear magnets or something to boost into the roller coaster part of things. Conceptually, I think it's kind of cool. Definitely got some technical challenges, though, making a vehicle-driven portion work.
You definitely solved. You're giving him a lot of credit, and like I hear what your brain does, and the idea of having him switch to a linear magnet system would work if he had thought that through.
If I knew what a linear magnet system was, that would be awesome.
It's a brilliant
Okay.
solution to what you said to make his ride very cool. Except he doesn't
That's what
know
I was-
how to do that.
That's what I was going for. It's a linear magnet
No.
system.
Oh, no.
What you described was
It's almost
somehow-
more like ET meets Revenge of the Mummy.
That's not linear magnets.
So it's an ET
No, I know.
ride meets. So it's
So
a hanging
there-
track.
Well, you're in bucket seats, kind of,
Stop
sort
calling
of.
it bucket seats. You're
You know, like-
Well, E.T. was technically a roller coaster, not a dark ride.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it functioned like a dark ride.
Hmm.
So, Spencer, that's conceptually your dark ride element would be something like E.T.
Correct.
And then you're going into the more roller coaster vibe, which I was confused when you were using Indiana Jones as a point of reference.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was too, and then I realized I'm thinking of like dark ride elements that have like some kind of thrill to them. But I guess it would be more appropriate to use ET versus a car ride.
I think something we're glossing over too here is after this roller coaster portion, you mentioned a spinning portion.
Yeah, that should have been taken out of this pitch. That doesn't exist. I didn't say
because
that.
You pitched it.
Nothing's
I
a
didn't
fixed
put
track
that in there.
system,
You-
like
Well-
a spinning element.
You pitched it, and even added a step after that part.
The
Yeah, I
crazy
said- I
You
part
can't
is
just suddenly remove it from your
the
pitch.
absolute
It was a
craziest part
it's like
is
a
that-
it's a whirlwind effect. So the seats are shifting. So it's more of like a seat shift as opposed to a spin.
How do you think mechanics work?
I don't think.
Spencer's pitch is an engineering nightmare.
Yeah. I want to meet the
But the
firm
art
that has-
director would
that has-
love you.
Yeah,
See,
exactly.
there's a lot of creative elements to this for
No,
sure.
No, that's creative and lunacy are two different things.
At least I didn't pitch a death trap.
Well,
End of sentence.
I mean, sure.
I was told that at the beginning of this that I'm going off what is actually said in the first pitch, not what I am assuming, and also that I'm giving points for creativity as well as practicality. So,
Which they don't have to be together. So it's still
I'm-
creative.
I'm weighing your pitch under the judgment rules I have been given.
Yes,
The
well, I
man's a
appreciate
saint.
your consideration in the creativity and guest favorite categories.
What is your
Thank you very
second
much.
pitch? Stop.
Yes, let's hear
We're
this.
not
I-
gonna do a second pitch.
That's his first pitch.
Oh,
It had 5 steps.
They get better. All right, attraction number 2 is Jumanji, Saving Peter. That's what it's called. I don't really have a great title for it, but that's what it's called. So this is a theater attraction that's similar to Extraterrestrial Alien Encounter or Stitch's Great Escape. Wait, bear with me. This will get there. It's got projections, screens, animatronics. Guests are strapped into their mobile. I don't know why I wrote mobile. They're in their stationary seats. Think like Kung Fu Panda or like extraterrestrial alien encounter.
Why are they strapped into stationary seats?
Which resemble the flower pods, because it's not a ride, it's an attraction, which resemble the flower pods. As the show begins, you hear Alan say, "Definitely stay away from the pods, the big yellow ones." Suddenly, the lights go out, the seats drop, and you are the POV of Peter Shepard traversing through the game of Jumanji. There are air effects when the monkeys whip their tails at the guests, so you like feel, like it's tough to be a bug, how like when you get stung by the bee, it like gets you in the back and all this kind of stuff. So it's got that tail their guests when the crocodiles try to chomp at Peter and when the pod tries to eat Peter, it's like the alien in the beginning, the pod comes out, it like this thing, like the extraterrestrial or like Stitch when it pops out of the glass, that's like the pod popping out as if it's getting ready to wrap its vines around Peter, which is the POV of the guest. So you feel like the wind, whipping at your back and at your sides, and in fact, like the bee sting, it's tough to be a bug, like I said. It's a 4D experience. So it's a 4D experience, a little show. And similar to the Alien or Stitch in the aforementioned rides, the pod and all of its little shop glory busts out of the center of the theater, appearing as if it's heading straight to devour Peter, the guest. As guests traverse through the darkness, there is a much more sensory experience by hearing and feeling sensations and sounds. The beating drums get louder and softer throughout, and eventually you hear Alan say, "Harvest time." The feel and sounds of the vine start to dissipate, lights flash, and everything goes dark and silent for a brief moment. Then you hear Peter say, and I know it's not the same quote at the same time, but you hear Peter say, "I thought I could end the game myself. I was only 10 spaces away," and everything goes back to normal. It's extraterrestrial alien encounter, but from the POV of Peter and the pod.
But I have one of these headaches that I only get when you pitch things.
So it's a theater in the round.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
You're strapped into.
4D like theater experience.
Like Alien Encounter or Stitch, they give you like the they put you in the harness because
or
apparently
the Despicable Me attraction. I think that's not necessarily a guest safety issue. It's literally just stay in your seats because stuff is moving.
Yeah,
right. But you also said the floor drops out.
Did I say that?
Oh yes, you did.
Yeah.
Okay. So the floor. So the floor. Well, traversing darkness because it's the lights go out.
What does traversing mean?
Do you know what traversing means?
It's like a metaphorical traverse. You're not moving anywhere. It's a metaphorical traverse.
So we're not
because the lights are out. You're going through the darkness.
It's a metaphorical traverse.
I was visualizing something almost like a Soren type of thing at one point when you were describing it.
Right, which is logically
that's why I asked at the beginning. He said it's theater in the round. It's like it's exactly like Alien Encounter or Stitch's Great Escape.
It's
both rides don't exist anymore. But
Stitch it still exists. They just aren't. They just it's debatable.
This is the hill you want to die on.
But I've got another pitch, so we're not there yet.
We're not done with this.
We're not done with
this. But the floor dropping is the effect. I don't know if you ever did Twist or Write It Out, but like at the very end, the floor like drops. But it's just like a movement. So it's like you feel the floor. It's like a false floor.
You're putting the whole
Terminator
theater
2
on
3D.
Sorry, go ahead.
Terminator 2 3D.
Yeah.
At Universal, the seats would come up a total of I think it was 5 inches, and then it would drop those 5 inches at the end. To give you that
which is a great way of describing the effect and actually pulling it off. What he was talking about was the floor dropping out.
That's the same idea. That's what I mean.
No, sir. No, it is not.
That's what I mean.
You will be judged on what you actually said, not what you meant.
Exactly. But in my
mind,
there's
a difference between
it's a bunch of kids showing up to a dark room. You sit them down and you go,
no. It's not a dark room to start with.
Metaphorically, it's
no. It's metaphorically traversing, but there are screens and projections where you get I put like VR glasses, but it's more of like 4D. It's a 4D experience.
Okay.
It's like extraterrestrial alien encounter with Jumanji, but upgraded to have like some screens and projections and stuff.
I'm just confused as to how you're having the perspective of Peter when you're a theater in the round. So you're staring across at other people in the audience.
No. Everyone's got 3D glasses on.
Do you think 3D glasses just make the people on the other side disappear?
It's dark enough.
Yeah, that's when it gets dark, and there's a sense where you get immersed into the world of Peter.
But then you're lit up by the screens that you added.
No, the screens are, like there's like projections here and there.
Screens aren't dark.
Do you know?
Okay,
they give off lights. You know how projection works.
But
Projection
the
is
screens
light-based.
aren't the whole time. The screens are like at the beginning to give you the feel. It just incorporates animatronics.
Oh, and then they turn off.
Screens.
So then how are you
Right.
seeing this alligator?
Don't forget we have a giant pod in
Projections.
the center of the room.
Yeah, the giant pot. Correct. That's how Alien Encounter and Stitch are.
What's amazing to me is the thing I have the least difficulty with is the fact that you've turned it into a giant pod ride.
It's not a ride. It's an attraction.
Oh no, I apologize.
I don't understand this mess at all.
Let's jump to your third.
Are you sure?
No.
Let's hear the third concept.
So in my third most creative idea of the day, we have the Jumanji Discovery Encounter. And this is, as it sounds, it is a zoo. But it's similar to the Triceratops encounter that used to be at Universal in Orlando, where you could like pet real life dinosaurs.
The one
but
that
they were
kept
like
breaking
animatronics.
down?
Yeah, but it's on, but it's for kids because we have to think about the fact that this is a family. It would be a family theme park, and we have to have something that kids can traverse through physically, not metaphorically, but actually like traipse through the zoo. Traipse through the zoo. I think traipse is a good word. I like that word. So in this walkthrough attraction,
better than traverse. It's better than traverse.
Thank you. Traipse. We can tiptoe through the tulips with your kids and the animals in the zoo. Anyway, in this walkthrough attraction, similar. I was trying to think of words where you could walk through something, and then I just thought of tiptoe through the tulips.
Now seems
There's
like
no
the time.
tulips. In this walkthrough attraction, similar to Triceratops encounter, guests enter an outdoor discovery trail with board game pieces, riddles, and dices throughout the trail that guests can interact with as they pass by animatronics of different animals from the Jumanji series, like an elephant, an ostrich, monkeys, etc. All the good stuff. When you roll certain numbers on the dice, it triggers certain sound effects, like the main Jumanji stampede sound, monkeys making their monkey noises, etc. During
All
the
going
trek,
off at the same time.
well, it's at different checkpoints. So if you're at the beginning, you can roll the dice and it's like, oh, I rolled a 6, and then you hear sounds or whatever, and then you go through, and then when you get to like an elephant animatronic, it's like like Harry Potter wands, but they're just like dice that you can roll next to it, and it's an automatic interaction with this elephant.
Are
or this
there
ostrich or whatever.
like guides next to each little thing, dice rolling area?
It works the same way as Harry Potter. So it's like there's like pictures of like how things
Doesn't
work.
answer his question.
People.
Like guides, like people, workers,
Like
standing
actual
next to-
people guides.
next to these dice rolling areas.
No.
Okay, because see, the thing with Harry Potter is you have a magic wand, and you go like this.
Yes,
and it
correct,
does the
but-
thing. With
correct.
dice, you let go of them, which means that they are free, which means that anybody, or is everybody just bringing their own dice?
So I think of it as like boggle dice, where you push the button and the dice
like the
roll.
Pop-O-Matic bubble?
Yeah. So at each location, you can push the dice.
Like Trouble, the game Trouble.
Like
Trouble, yeah.
Boggle
Pop-O-Matic
dice
bubble,
are the ones that have
What
letters
a-
on them.
I don't.
Yeah.
You got the visual. I
You're
kept
correct in the
pushing
popping mechanics. Wrong dice.
because it makes me think of like when I was a kid in the
When you go up to
playground.
the when you go up to the displays, you'll select a bunch of boggle dice and you'll throw them into a cup. And there's no one there to tell you to stop. But you're just throwing these dice. Everyone's touching them. They're communal dice. And then you walk through, and the sound bleed is like a rainforest cafe, but at the same time.
So it works like a zoo where you go to an exhibit and there's like, here's what the zoo is about. But instead of saying, here's what the zoo is about, there's like the little thing about it, but you can push the dice to like, here the elephant or like, do whatever, interact with all these. But you can like, it's like a, animatronic that you can like pet. So it's a petting zoo without actual animals.
You want to let people touch the animatronic?
Like they did in Triceratops.
But you don't want guides.
No, there's no
You're gonna let them
guides.
go crazy with the animatronics.
Well, they're behind like cages.
You're just visiting them. Not all of them are petable.
Right. Sure. Yeah. It's like it ends with like a what?
So which ones are petable?
Whichever ones they want. When they build this,
which ones are petable? You said some are in cages and some are petable.
I really, honestly, it's like a trail, like a nature trail, like Conservation Station and Triceratops Encounter. If they combined, it's like that. But
And had a Jumanji themed baby.
Yes, correct. But they're like at the very end, you can pet the elephant.
I feel like
Elephant.
you're a '90s Disney executive, green lighting projects left and right. Just like, I don't know, we're gonna make it. It'll be a toot squad, but it'll be a circus.
But too many ideas in my head. But it's what Triceratops Encounter is, but with a Jumanji theme and the treble button dice concept.
All right, so Bradley, you've heard a lot out of us. We've taken up a lot of your time with some brilliant ideas
and some ideas.
So we're going to review from the top down what you've heard today, and then you're going to be awarding categories. Sound good?
Sounds good. Yes.
All right, Brad, start us off.
My 3 attractions were Race to the Temple, my River Rapids ride. My second attraction was Being Hunted, the trackless dark ride. And then the third attraction was the parish house itself with interactive exhibits.
Okay.
Excellent. I pitched the parish house roller coaster ride. I pitched the dark ride set around the Jumanji cartoon. And I pitched the arcade / midway.
Mm-hmm.
And I pitched the dark ride roller coaster hybrid Jumanji: A Jungle Adventure, the only theater in the round, Jumanji Saving Peter, and the only Discovery Encounter today, the Jumanji Discovery Encounter. Thank you.
Okay.
Now, I don't envy you this time around for having to make these decisions. And let me preface this with, we'll all be friends after this, so no one will take it too hard. But let's jump in with our first category of creative. Bradley, what is getting the bronze for creative today?
I liked both of the house AR, the AR attractions, but I think the arcade one is going to take my bronze. I think that's where I think there's a lot of potential in it. I think it could be a lot of fun. And I mean, it almost feels like it could be an escape room type of experience, which is really popular right now. So I think as an add-on, it could be a really cool thing.
I
could
agree
figure out
with
how to fit that into a house. I do have to say that some sort of theater ride, Spencer, very creative. Your pitch is creative, and it's getting the silver for that. And I think the water ride is actually going to take my gold. That one sounded the most interesting. Like, that's the one I haven't heard of a concept like that.
It's a good ride.
Done for a movie before. So that takes my gold for creativity.
That takes care of creativity. So that's a point to each of us. We're now moving on to practicality.
My favorite category.
And you can say pass. You can give it to none of us.
I'm going to say, Spencer, you're probably not going to be recognized for practicality.
I'm okay with that.
All right.
I still have other chances.
I think the bronze for practicality would be Oliver's Jumanji coaster. I think it's got the most logical progression as far as queue line into attraction, and I feel like the secondary show building, it's all conceptually very workable, and with the fewest technical snags.
Hurdles, yeah.
The other one, I think Water Ride's going to take silver for that one because
Water Ride's cleaning up.
It is conceptually the thing that I think has been the most similar thing has been done to it. Most of those technical issues are not necessarily off the rack solutions, but I think stuff that people have worked out the bugs for you on. And then, so that just leaves the gold medal there. And that is
Shrek 40. Oh, sorry.
That is not going to be the Minion ride that Spencer, the Jumanji.
That building already exists. You just slap a couple of layovers on it.
No, it doesn't exist. That thing doesn't exist.
It does. It still stands.
The attraction that you were discussing in no way exists anywhere
Or should,
ever in
or should
history.
exist.
I think it's a clever concept.
Pieces of it, maybe, but no. I think Oliver's Jumanji coaster is going to take that gold.
Cool.
And then for overall, my guest choice here.
Mm-hmm.
I actually love thematically the idea of Jumanji Zoo. Within the area, around the house, having the stampede visible, more as a photo op than an interaction, but I love it conceptually. So I'm going to give some recognition there because I think that can really cement the theming. Having a tree full of monkeys that triggers when people walk by or, whatever. The idea of having animatronics and sound effects within the space to make it feel thematically tight. I like that. So, Spencer, there's a point for you. Overall, I'm going to give my other 2 points, both silver and gold, to Brad for just general. I think I'm looking at all of them overarching as a concept, and I think that Jumanji area, that the idea felt the most interesting to me. That would be the Jumanji attractions I would probably be most likely to watch.
Thank you.
Brad swept this week. Look at him go. Bradley, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for being here. Before we leave you here, do you have anything you want to plug or anything you want to talk about?
Well, I am streaming on Twitch now.
Nice.
That's a major thing that I've been doing. So the channel is Mr. MR Bradley Pierce. Feel free to drop in, hang out. I play video games. I run quizzes. It's a lot of fun. Other than that, everything that I do, if I'm announcing anything or whatever, is on social media. It's at Mr. Bradley Pierce across the board. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat. I don't use
MySpace.
The whole gambit, yeah.
Bradley Pierce.
Yeah, MySpace too.
LinkedIn.
Uh-huh.
Oh, LinkedIn, yeah. No, I don't use it for much, but it exists.
CompuServe.
Yeah, my old Hotmail.
Yeah.
AOL Live Journal.
Zynga. No, not
Friendster?
Zynga. Yeah,
Friendster?
Zynga.
Yeah, Friendster.
Fenster.
Well,
Yeah.
Bradley, thank you so much for being here. On behalf of all of us here at Theoretical Thrills, that's our episode. I've been Oliver.
I'm Brad.
And I'm Spencer.
And that's Bradley. Have a great one.
All right. Thanks, guys. That's a lot of fun.
Did you enjoy the episode you just watched? Feel free to like, subscribe, and share. And if you have an interpretation of an idea based on the theme of the week, feel free to tag us on social media with hashtag Theoretical Thrills, and we may feature your ride and attraction on the show.
Theoretical Thrills, the theory of the thrill.